Well, good morning, everybody. Now, I've been up to the hardware this morning. I've got some clear silicone tubes that I think will work just fine. But I was talking with my buddy Richard Jean and the fishing machine. Whoa. And he told me about this stuff here. It says Lexel. Now, if y'all didn't know, Richard Jean is an Alabama legend carpenter. And he knows everything there is about building, sealing up stuff, waterproofing stuff. And he's got more experience in working on boats than I do. So he said, that's what you need, so that's what I got. Now this stuff is very, very expensive. $10 for that one tube. But if he says it'll work, it'll work. So that's what we're going to use. Now when I get under here and get these things cleaned off, I'm going to try to get the camera under there and explain one more time why I'm doing it like I'm doing. I've had a few comments about welding it, this and that. Welding is not an option for me. I cannot weld. I have as most of y'all know, some of the new people don't know, I have a pacemaker and defibrillator implanted in my chest. And any kind of welding, getting too close to batteries, magnets, that type of thing, could very possibly set that thing off, and we don't need that. I don't know anybody that has a welder, aluminum welder, anything like that. Certainly cannot afford to have it done, because if you know, welding shop rates or anything like that is outrageous. So this method, it will work. I guarantee you. I know it'll work. It's going to look a little funny. Some people are going to say, well, those patches on the bottom is going to slow your speed down. I don't care about speed. All I want to do is get to where I'm going and fish. That's it. It's not like I'm running pro tournaments and all that kind of stuff. So let me see if I can get under here. I've got my grinder out, got a flat disc on it. Now this is a wore out 120 grit, which should work just fine. And I'm going to get those rivets cleaned off, and I'll show you about the rivets one more time when we get under there. And the wind is blowing enough to where it should blow all that stuff away from me, so I won't be breathing it and all that, because I cannot wear a mask and work at the same time. They just, no way. Not this kind of stuff. But is the wind blowing where y'all are? Everybody I know in the southeast, we have had wind for weeks and weeks, and it's just aggravating if you're trying to get out, you know, on the water or something. But anyway, let's get underneath here and see what we can do. Oh, I got to get my caulking gun for that. So. All right, I'm underneath here. I don't know how this is going to look. Now, what has happened is the rivet heads, like you see these over here. Now, I sealed those with all of them with JB Weld when I redid this to start with. Those are okay. What has happened here, over here where the runners sit, the heads have deteriorated off. Now that happened actually before I got this boat, because the people used it primarily in salt water, and they never cleaned it, never took care of it. And with the carpet and the runner sitting on the boat up here, there we go, thanks, see, it was right on top of these rivets, And I did not take that into account to when I did this in the beginning, so I should have done something else then. But to strip it down and start over again, turn it upside down, is not an option. I'm not gonna fool with that. So this is what we're gonna deal with. So I'm gonna take my flap disc and clean these off. I'm not gonna cut them all the way off, just clean them real good. And then I'll put my patch all the way on this. This is the worst side right here. Now the other side has a couple of spots too, but that's what we're gonna do. Now let me get the grinder out. I'm laying on my back upside down, and this should be very, very interesting. Alrighty, I've got my hole pattern lined out. I'm going to pre-drill this aluminum. Now this center line is opposite of the old rivets. The old rivets are sitting right here. Now I'm going to drill and countersink these holes, and one on either side, just to hold it on tight on the side. I'm going to use these here. I'm going to leave these holes in here and go ahead and fasten it there too, because they'll fit pretty flush. This one, I'll put a washer in there because I need all the length I can get, because I don't have a lot of this material. So we're going to go to the drill press, get a 5/32 bit, which is almost what this screw is, and these are self-tapping screws, so they'll go into the metal on the boat itself pretty easy. And before I tighten them, I'll put a dab of sealant on each one. So let's get to the drill press and get to drilling some holes. Alright, first piece, got the holes drilled, got them countersunk. Took a 60 grit sanding disc, cleaned up the backside really well. By countersinking, that'll make it sit flat, flatter anyway. And that'll eliminate having to use the self-drilling parts to drill through here, because we want our threads and our strength on the other end mainly. Now let's go ahead and go install this piece here. That means crawling back under there. And I'll try to get the camera under there where we can see it, and maybe I can, maybe I can't. We'll try it and see. Alright, there's the first patch in. I could not hold the camera, run the drill, and everything else all at the same time. So there we go. Now this stuff has a 48-hour cure time, but I wanted the screws in there very quickly, and I'll probably take another little bead around it in the very end. Now, don't have enough room in here for my cordless drill, so I had to use this one. Now I picked this up several months ago, anticipating having to do this. That is a right angle drill. Pardon me, I'm down here in the dirt. But very handy tool, Harbor China store. That when you need it, you need it. Oh, there we go. Now in the very end also, I'll come back with a I've still got some paint left from the original color, the base coat, and I'll put a coat of paint on it after a couple days after this cures. Now next I'll move to this patch here. And then we got one more back here. And I think, I'm gonna look at it over real good, but I think this side will be done. I know cameras all over the place, but hey, I got to get up out from under here for a minute. All right, we got 2 patches in. Now I'll go back and put a little bead around there, but there's silicone underneath all the holes. And I've got one more to go on this side right here. But I fear I have done too much for right now. All this climbing up and down and working over my head has got to me for a minute. So I'm gonna go in, take a break, maybe get a bite to eat, and be back this afternoon or tomorrow. All right, let's get back to the patch job on the boat. Now this sealant says it takes 48 hours to dry. All right, it's been almost 4 days and it should be cured very well. Now, next step, probably not necessary, but I'm going to do it anyway because I already have it. When I painted the boat, the base coat, it is duck boat drab. Now I've got some of that little bit of that paint left, so I'm gonna just put a coat of paint on it and let that dry. Then I'll put the runner back on. That's one thing, when you get something like a gallon of paint like that, it's very important to make sure that you seal it up really good, clean it good, seal it good, so you can use it again. When you pay $80 a gallon for paint, I think is what that was, you want to make sure you don't waste any of it. So right quick, I'm just going to take a brush, just put a good coat on there. Like I said, I don't think it's really necessary for anything but just satisfy me. And if anybody sees the bottom of my boat, call 911 because something bad has happened. Just slop it on there good. Now, as warm and dry as it is, this will probably be dry in a couple hours to where I can put the runner back on. Let's see, let me move the camera a little bit. I don't want to drip no paint on it. But the painting is absolutely my least favorite thing in the world to do. I do not like doing it. Now it's sealed up really good with that sealant. Now this just fill in a little bit of cracks, just maybe help out a little bit. All right, there we go. And these ones up here that had just a little bit of wear look to them, I just put some sealant on there, and I'll dab a little bit of paint over those two. Then we'll move to the other side and get those patches put in, because that side's not nearly as bad as this one. And then we'll replace that roller right there. All right, good afternoon, everybody. I think I've got all the leaks plugged up on the boat. Now I need to replace that roller. It's not big enough, so I have a bigger roller, and I think it'll fit in this bracket without having to do too much to it. I hope so, because I cannot keep crawling in and out under this boat. I think I tore something in my knee yesterday, climbing in and out, and it hurts like you know what. But that's okay. We can get this job done. Alright, I'm gonna need to move the camera so I can drive this bolt out of here. Got to lift it up off the trailer a little bit, so shouldn't be too hard, but we'll see. Alright, the new big roller will not fit. So what I'm gonna have to do is take this bracket loose and move it over a little bit, get everything centered up. The problem is this is welded on, so I got to cut it off and figure out some way to remount it. But it's gonna be tomorrow before I do that. May or may not video that. Sorry, I'm laying on my back, so I can't function very well, but but that's all that's left. That, and maybe put a little bit of sealant here and there. But patch is done there, patch is done over here, and I'm just dab a little bit of sealant here and there where it looks like it might be suspect. Excuse me. So there you go. Now, if you got an old boat, you have to deal with stuff like this. So, thank y'all for watching. Thank you for your support. And I will be back tomorrow or the next day with something else, if I can get out from under here. If I can find a button to turn this thing off. Alright, have hit a small snag in putting this new roller mount on here. Now this is what came off of there. This is the one that me and Scott put on there last year, and it was welded on, and I had a time getting it off of there, but I got it off. Now I decided to, since this was thin square tubing, it's already starting to rust really bad. It might make it the rest of the year, but it's going to be a problem later on. So I'm going to go ahead and replace it. Now this is stainless pipe, about 2.5 3-inch pipe. I've got it cut and fit to go down on there, and it's just about the same height as this one, which is not a critical thing, but I've got it marked. This is the center line. The next thing I have to do is take these mounts off, and they're welded too, so I'm gonna have to cut them off of there. Pardon me. Then see, because the new roller won't fit, and there's no point in trying to bend them and trying to force it in there, so we're gonna do it right. So I'm gonna cut these off and mount them on this stainless pipe, and then this is not level. It's level on the trailer. You know? It's just something to hold it up off the table. Cut them off, re-drill. I'll either drill and tap them or put these self tappers in there, and I'm going to trim these down on the edges because they did hit the boat at one time. So it's all a process. Might as well do it right while I got time to do it. Cool. Be right back with some more. All right, there we go. There is the new roller mount. Now this is a little bit higher than the way it was already set, so I just nibbled that a little bit so it'll sit flat. I'm going to take the clamps and clamp it back down. Now the main thing of this roller is not so much support, but to line it up when I get it on the trailer so it'll hit the front roller and everything lines up okay. And it does provide some support. Now right here, instead of going and buying a new bolt, I used the one I had, and it would not thread up, if you can see that, all the way up on there like it should. So I was going to drill a 1/8" hole right there and put a roll pin in there, but I got almost all the way through it and the drill bit broke. So the drill bit is now the pin. If it ever has to come off of there, it'll be a pain in the, you know what, I'll just have to cut it off of there. But that should work fine for now. I ground down the profile here on both sides, so there's no chance of it hitting the boat. I just put a through bolt right there on both sides. Like I said, this is stainless steel, so it won't rust, and that should last a good long time. Now I got to go out there and climb back under the boat again and get it mounted on there. And I think I mentioned, if I didn't mention it, I pulled something in my knee the other day getting out in and out from under that thing, but feels a little better today. Ain't no big deal, it'll be all right. When you start getting old, you get aches and pains and things, make noises and all that kind of stuff, so no big deal. Once I get it all set back on there, clamped down, I'll put a coat of paint on it just to make it look pretty, and we'll see that shortly. Well, there it is, y'all. New roller installed. Now that should last from now on. So I put some flat black paint on it, just regular old cheap Lowe's flat black paint, and everything's patched. I'm not going around to the other side because I'll have to kneel down again and my knee is really hurting. So there we go. Now tomorrow I'm going to pull it out, fire the engine. I'm going to pull it out in the grass so I don't make a mess back here in this dirt with the water hose. Fire the engine, make sure everything's good, and we will take the old Wallace 4 out next week. Now Memorial Day weekend has got to be over with because I will not be on the water this weekend. Well, I may be on some water, but not the general public water. And it's not the water itself, it's the boat ramps. This is a very, very, very busy weekend around here. Everybody from all over the country flocks here, and they just basically take over. So I'll wait, let all them go home, and then we'll take it down to the boat ramp, put it in, and we will check and see if we got any leaks. If we do, we'll try to fix it again. If I didn't make a dent in it, which I can't imagine not, then we will discuss going to the boat store. Thank y'all for watching. Thank you for your support, and I'll see y'all next time.